Hey, what's up, guys? It's MugenLord here, and I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend, because this week I have some great content for you guys, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it and have some great discussions. I always love to hear your thoughts in the comment sections, and you guys always give me a different perspective on things. And I said it before, even the naysayers, even those who disagree with me, I read the comments, and even you guys make me go back and re-look at certain things and then change my perspective or readjust my perspective on certain topics and certain issues. So I appreciate all you guys. So in today's video, I thought it was pretty interesting because a lot of you guys hit me onto it. You'll hit me up in the DMs, which I do appreciate that. When it comes to topics like this, when it comes to these journals and with the stupidness with these Western developers, I definitely appreciate you guys always keeping me hip and linked to certain things and wanting to hear my overall opinions and thoughts on it. And I appreciate it. So if there's other topics that you want me to go check out, you can definitely leave that in the comment sections below. Just tell me the topic or anything and I'll look into it. Well, anyway, it apparently there's a game journal who doesn't appreciate the fact that you mod your female characters in your favorite video games to look gorgeous, to look beautiful, to look sexy. That's a no-no to this journalist. So before I dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we're gonna dive right into it. And all this does is just reaffirm what I've always been saying for the past couple of videos, is that these journals and the ones that took over the industry hate you guys. They do not want you to have any form of entertainment. More specifically, if you're a straight male and you just enjoy just to pretty much appreciate a beautiful, attractive woman in your video games, they can't stand it. They don't like it. They don't want you happy at all. They don't want you to have a good time at all. So we're going to dive into this article. It's from The Gamer. So apparently the journalist is by Stacy Henley, and it says, stop using mods to make female characters prettier. Baldur's Gate 3 is the latest game to be set by gamers deciding that every woman needs to be endlessly beautiful and always glamorous. See, and this is the issue too. You notice when it comes to like Japanese mods or like Japanese type games, you really don't have to make mods to make the characters beautiful. They already look gorgeous. If anything, it's just to add new aesthetics, like a bikini or a sexy outfit, crop top, or whatever like that. But when it comes to these Western studios, damn, you gotta go do a facelift, you gotta do all kinds of stuff. And this person don't like that, don't appreciate that. So let's hear what this person has to say. So one of the strangest complaints I've seen in history of video games was when gamers were mad at Aloy had fuzz on her face, not a beard, not an unsightly cave woman, a monobrow, not the black prongs of an unwaxed top lip, which surely at least some women in her society should have had, but regular peach fuzz. These white wispy hairs are near invisible until you get up close and see them in a certain light. It should have been praised as a commitment to photorealism, but instead, many gamers, apparently ignorant of basic biology, were enraged by it. It deemed unacceptable for women in video games not to be beautiful, as the recent swathe of mods for games like Baldur's Gate 3 have proven. Now, to give you a bit of context about the whole peach fuzz, I believe there was a screenshot where somebody did an up-close picture showing the hair on Aloy's face. Now, what this journal don't understand is this environment has become so polarized to the point where Western studios have made, especially women, the depiction of women, so unattractive. The studios made this a standard, and gamers are now speaking up and getting fed up about it. And now anything, peach fuzz, it doesn't matter. These gamers are now going to lash out because we have gotten to this point. This is the breaking point that we're at right now. Gamers are getting tired, gamers are getting fed up, and gamers are getting tired of being called sexist, misogynist, incels. They're tired of getting hit with these buzzwords for having a simple preference, especially for, being straight and having a simple preference when it comes to attraction in beautiful women in video games. They're getting tired of it. So no matter what happens at this point, you're going to get some form of backlash. Is it good? Is it warranted? That can be debatable. But you guys created this. You journalists created this. Every article that you post out there is always attacking gamers. More specifically, straight gamers. And this was going on right now. And this is the making of your own doing here. And it seems like these journals don't understand that. So I digress. So within a few days, Baldur's Gate 3 launching, a mod was made that claimed to make Lae'zel prettier. Baldur's Gate 3 is being praised for its rich writing, character development, and branching storytelling, but some just can't lose themselves in the narrative if the women don't look like supermodels. There's even a mod that makes Shadowheart prettier, despite the fact she already looks like a supermodel. So this you gotta understand. Even if the male character was butt ugly, because there's mods out there to change the appearance of males and everything. But look at Baldur's Gate 3, for example, or look at most games in the West today. The only models or the only characters that's really getting these crazy ass makeovers or being downgraded are the female characters. The female characters are the only ones that's being touched, while the male characters are either, like I said, overly sexualized now. They got, got their shirts out, their balls just sitting out and everything, and you can find pretty much all kinds of examples of that. The males have stayed the same. The males have not been touched. So of course you're going to find mods to where it's only affecting the women, the female characters, where they're making them prettier, they're making them look bustier, much more curvier and attractive, is because the female characters are the only ones that's getting hit with the ugly stick. It's like they're totally glossing over that, or they being disingenuous and just want to just ignore that fact. The male characters, look at Baldur's Gate 3. The male characters, there's a lot of handsome men in that game. There's no modding that's necessary for the male characters. They got massive builds, chiseled jaws, everything. And you can find plenty of women on Twitter who are fans of this game that is fawning over some of the male characters from Baldur's Gate 3. So come on, guys, let's just cut the crap out. So we will continue here. So it offers up a strange standard that I'm not sure anyone can be happy with. It's a problem in itself that you can't experience Lae'zel's story for what it is, but objectively, Lae'zel is not a beautiful creature. Shadowheart, however, is conventionally an attractive woman. To look at her and instantly think of ways you can fine-tune her into the perfect woman shows you see not only video game characters, but women as a whole as commodities. Shut the hell up with this. For starters, you're allowed to have bear sex in this game. You're allowed to do whatever you want in this game. And when it comes to being a PC gamer, that is the wonders of being a PC gamer. You can customize the experience any way you possibly want. And this doesn't just go for Baldur's Gate. This goes for any game that's on PC. You can modify the characters' outfits, their looks. Shit, you can go in there and just change the overall gameplay and rebalance the game yourself. If you're that skilled, you can do anything when it comes to the PC experience. And then the fact is that you're upset at other people of how they want to enjoy Baldur's Gate 3 and their custom experience. That makes no sense. If you're allowed to do a lot of the degeneracy and partake in a lot of the stuff that's in this game, why can't I make it a woman beautiful in this game? Why can't I? You can do everything else. You can do everything else. And then it's my experience. I should be able to do what I want. Why is it bothering you? Let's move on. So this is not just a problem in Baldur's Gate 3. Any game that involves significant interactions with a female character quickly devolves into build a bitch. And if you need a woman to meet impossible beauty standards in order to connect with them, it suggests these connections are only deep skin. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Cyberpunk, Tomb Raider are just handful of examples. And this is what I'm talking about. These characters, for one, aren't real. So I don't know why these journals is always trying to take fictional characters, video game characters, because they're nothing more than objects, and try to compare them to actual women. These are not unrealistic beauty standards when it comes to this game. There's like this is what we talked about in the past couple of videos. How is it that when it comes to males, when we see a male who's hyper masculine, and like I said, video games are a fantasy. Video games, both men and women are put in these hyper masculine, hyper feminine type of forms. That's what games do. How come when males see a male character who's just ripped, chiseled, 6 feet, almost 7 feet tall, we don't say that it's putting unrealistic standards on men. We want to get lost in these fantasy worlds. And the thing is, we see that character like, yo, he's badass. Matter of fact, I wanna play as that character because he looks badass. He looks badass, ripped, muscular, chiseled. So when it comes to my female characters, I want my female character to look attractive, look appealing, look sexy. Whatever that you may be into, there's no problem with that. And these journals can't seem to wrap their hands around it. Me wanting an attractive woman in my video game is not affecting a woman outside in the real world. I'm not harming anybody. These gamers aren't harming anybody. But these journals trying to put in your head and put that message out there, telling women and telling, I guess you could say, the white knights that this is harmful. And this is where it caused all this confusion and divide. This is unnecessary. This whole thing is unnecessary. So it goes back to the outrage around Aloy, where the game was criticized for being hyper realistic when it came to her hairs on her face. But Aloy, Lara Croft, and dozens more video game women living in the wild conditions are always shown without legs or armpit hair, despite the fact that they would definitely have some. Developers already make hundreds of decisions aimed at making women more attractive, and these are just taken as standard. So if Guerrilla Games really wanted to make a woke statement with Aloy, it could have. We've seen both Julia Roberts and Rachel McAdams sports unshaved armpits on the red carpet as a feminist statement, while Emily, whatever her name is, and Miley Cyrus have both embraced hairy legs. Both of these are far more noticeable and far more a statement than Peach Fuzz. But logic doesn't apply. All that matters is digital women are practically perfect in every way, or else it's impossible to care about them. Now the thing is, that's still a lie, because people still like Aloy despite that. But people would prefer in their video games, and that's another thing with today's video games. Games are not video games no more. Is a lot of video games are now going to this photorealism, to the point where the characters are looking too realistic, and it's starting to take people out of that experience, because they're not feeling like video games. Now they're starting to look more like how people see the real world and everything, and which also incorporates a lot of these game developers who have these political motives to put certain things in these video games. And like I said, it's turning a lot of people away. But yes, in video games, it's a fantasy. People love to see their characters a certain way, and the problem is game developers in the West is trying to make this new standard as far as how women look in Western games. They're trying to make this the norm, and gamers don't want that. They don't, especially if it's not going to be evenly across the board, because that's the problem with this whole notion of realism or equality and representation is not represented all the way across the board. It's only happening to the female characters, but it's not happening to the male characters. The male characters have to stay static. They have to look the same no matter what. They all look chiseled. They all look ripped. They all look handsome and stuff like that. But the women are the only ones that's being affected by this. And why is that? If this is about equality, inclusion, and representation of y'all trying to fight the beauty standard, these unrealistic standards of how people view others on physical appearance, then why is it also not including males? Because this is not about inclusion. It's not about female empowerment. It's about none of that. They want to get rid of the male gaze. That's all this is. That's what this is all about. Removing the heterosexual male gaze. Because if it wasn't the case, then they would do the same thing to the males. All the way across the board. But they're not. So it says The Last of Us 2 is an interesting case study here as well. Many had objections to Abby's unrealistic body, despite the fact that she was modeled off an actual female athlete. Others, meanwhile, complained that the game had deliberately made Ellie less attractive in the sequel, even though she's a young teenage child in the original outing. I know you could argue there's a double standard afoot. There are many mods across many different games that make men shirtless. So what's the fucking problem? What is the problem? What are we complaining for? You're acknowledging that there's mods to make men shirtless. So why don't you fight for that? Why don't you make an article saying like stop sexualizing men? But you're not making an article about that. There's no article talking about the sexualization of men, objectifying men with mods. But there's an article about this when it comes to women. You see this? She's acknowledging this. So we also tend to celebrate when a mod makes a character available for a queer romance, but criticize when a mod changes a queer character to make them available for straight romance. See, yeah. So what's the problem with that? Like, what is the problem with that? Everybody wanted Judy. Like, when I first saw Judy in Cyberpunk, I said, man, can you romance her? And I remember my brothers playing the game, and then when they found out that she was gay, they said, oh man, that sucks. But that's the wonder of mods, because then you'll be able to do things like that. I don't see the problem with that. I don't see the issue. It's your custom experience. That's the wonders of mods. Let these people be. Just like how people want to mod and make gay relationships and no one bats an eye about it or whatever like that, then it should be the same way around. So, unfortunately, it's a matter of context. If a mod is made to celebrate the character, then I consider it fair game. No, you don't decide the rules on what it should be when it comes to modding. Modding is to mod for your own experience, and you also share it for others who want to experience that same enjoyment that you want to experience with the game. You are not the arbiter to decide what should be fair and what shouldn't be fair when it comes to modding a character. Who are you? This is the thing about these journals. These journals are the ones who are trying to be the arbiters to decide everything when it comes to gaming and how we should perceive gaming. This is why people like this needs to go. They need to go. So let's see. There are plenty of mods that dress characters up in outfits they only wear in particular scenes. For example, both Aloy and Lara Croft have mods that put them in more stylish outfits and in makeup, but these feel like the support of the character rather than objectifying them. Here we go. Objectifying. Here we go with the word objectifying. One, like, how can you can't objectify a fictional character in the first place. They're not real. And then second of all, so what do they want to put makeup on them? So what do they want to put them in bikinis? So what? So looking at Shadowheart and deciding she's not quite good enough for you is very different. And that's their right. If that character doesn't look good enough for them, and there's plenty of male characters in video games, especially on like in the PC, that's why people mod male characters. If they want the character to look a certain way. Like, you're admitting that they make male characters shirtless and they apply mods to them too. So why is it that it's only wrong or it's only an issue when it's done to female characters? When you're acknowledging that male characters get the same treatment. Like, what is the point? What's the point of writing this article? What's the point of this? So I always take in the view that modding characters in video games should be like a fan fiction. Extra lore, extra quests, extra scenes, extra costumes. But to write fan fiction, you need to be a fan. If you're changing Shadowheart because her skin isn't quite clear enough for you to be interested in her story, why are you even playing the game in the first place? Shut the hell up. They're obviously a fan of the character. They're obviously a fan of the game. They're playing the game. They're playing the game for a reason because they enjoy it. And now they also want to mod their experience. And show me some evidence that they don't like the character's story based on how she looks. Show me evidence of that. This person's not providing evidence that people is not taking Shadowheart serious or can't get into the story because of how she looks. What evidence does this person have for that? Because I have never found any evidence that a character's attractiveness take away from their story. Where like Aloy wouldn't be a popular character if it was only solely based on how she looked. Yes, people are attracted to beautiful or gorgeous looking features on women, or even the opposite, even males. If you're a female and you're attracted to males, you're attracted to certain features. But no one is saying that this Shadowheart character is unappealing to these gamers, or can't take the character serious based on how the character look. You have no evidence, you have no proof of that. They just want her to look a certain way. They still play the game, but they prefer her to look this way, and that's their choice. That's what they're not getting. They don't want you to have choice. They don't want you to have a preference. They don't want you to enjoy the game the way that you want to enjoy the game. They don't want you as a heterosexual male to enjoy a nice looking female the way how you like to see the character in the game. And this is what boggles their mind. So you have to be a fan and enjoy the character the way it is, or whatever, based on you liking them the way they are. That makes no sense at all. So when it comes to, so you can say that for modding in general. So Project M on Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So you must not have been a fan of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, or a fan of Super Smash Bros. Because you decided you wanted to mod the game and change the aspect of every part of the game. So if you mod even Street Fighter characters or any other character sort, that means you must not be a fan of that character or a fan of the game simply because you're modding them. That makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. But yeah, that's the end of the article. I just think this whole article right here is just complete nonsense. A person who just get frustrated or get irritated at the fact is that other gamers are ignoring what you're saying and what you want the standard to be, and creating their own experiences through modding, and you don't like that. And that is very sad that you are upset that people are enjoying themselves the way they want to enjoy themselves when it comes to Baldur's Gate 3, or just in gaming in general when it comes to modding. I just think it's ridiculous that you're trying to be the arbiter, or you're trying to be the person who deems what is qualified for modding in a character. You also said it yourself, it's fan fiction. If it's fan fiction, you see a lot of fan fiction where fan fiction turns a lot of characters. You don't know how many pictures I've seen of fan fictions of gayness between Cloud and Sephiroth that will pop up, or what they would turn around and do with Link and put him on all these gay scenarios with male characters, Link and Ganondorf. You're allowed to do that, and you're allowed to celebrate that, but I can't turn around and take a female character that I find not that attractive and then make a mod to make her attractive for me and my enjoyment. There's a big problem. You see the double standard here? Don't you see it? Like, I'm gonna keep drilling this home when it comes to this whole entire situation and stuff. When it comes to this, because this is ridiculous. But as I said before, keep pointing out how stupid these people are. That's running these positions, especially in these journalists and especially these developers in these Western studios. We already talked about Dustborn and how that game is definitely going to fail, and we already talked about Volition and what happens when you go against the fan. You also decide you want to go extra woke with the game, and you see what happened to their studio. And yes, we can also attribute it for it being a buggy and a mess game, but most of the backlash came from their approach, saying that they wanted to appease to a certain crowd, and he also was arguing with their fans when the fans pointed that out. So let's calm down with that. So as I said before, the more and more these journals, the more and more these developers keep doing stupid stuff like this, call it out. I don't care. There's a lot of people that keep saying that, it's not a big deal. You're a grown man complaining about video game stuff. No, it's a much bigger picture than this. These people are trying to shift and change people's behaviors, and they're just trying to turn society upside down with their ideology and their way of thinking. And then they want to try to cancel you for calling them out on it, or you have a preference in a particular thing, and they're trying to tell you, no, you should not have a preference in this, and they try to demonize you for this. This was a ticking time bomb, and people's not understanding this. This was a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. This is from 2014 all the way up until now, and people are now voicing their opinions about it. People are now being even more vocal. The silent majority it's finally speaking up, because like I said, a lot of us was just minding our business, you know, enjoying our life and enjoying what we love, our hobby. And then you have these people come along trying to tell us what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and then try to demonize you for the things that you find excitement and things that you find enjoyment in, that things that you've always been enjoying. And then, like I said, they took over the industry. They're in high positions of powers. So this vocal minority have a bullhorn to make their message much louder. And it makes people think that these people are the majority when they're not. And the reason why they're not the majority, because they're receiving so much backlash. Companies is out there. Their stock is plummeting. They having to lay off people and everything because of all these different these ideologies and these policies that they're trying to implement that people just don't want. People are rejecting it. So we have to continue to call this out until we get a reset, until things just be normal. So we can just talk about video games and enjoy our games and not constantly at each other's heads because of our different beliefs. And that's all I want. And I just wanted us to have a discussion and talk about it. This needs to be talked about. That's all. So that wraps up this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and stay tuned for more content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.